You are movie and TV fans. I am your host, Mike Roby, and this is the Couch Potato Podcast. Hello and welcome to the Couch Potato Podcast, where today we are going to visit 1982, John Carpenter's The Thing. I'm very happy to do this movie and looking forward to the fun we're going to have with it because it is one of my favorite John Carpenter films, and I believe it was the film that made Kurt Russell one of my favorite actors, the big name actor that we know today. I think it was the start of bigger roles to come, and John Carpenter used Kurt Russell several times for different movies, and I enjoy this film. I hope you enjoy it too. And with me today in the studio to do The Thing by John Carpenter is my good friends Michael and Jackson. How you guys doing today?
I'm doing great, Mike. Glad to be here.
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Glad to have you here for your first podcast here with the Couch Potato. If you didn't already know that, I don't know if we told you the name or not. But we're doing John Carpenter's The Thing, and I'm really glad to have you two guys here because you guys are as knowledgeable, if not more, than me, and I love the movie as much as I do, if not more. So we're going to have a real great time here, I think. You guys got any thoughts on this one before we start it? Like your favorite characters, favorite parts?
I'll just roll the film. I mean, it's a great ensemble cast.
Oh, okay. Well, that ruins it. Well, okay. Well, if you follow along, which we recommend you do, we're going to start it at 2. And we're on the DVD special edition, and it would help for you to put the subtitles on so you can kind of follow along with us. So we're going to start it at 2 right now. So we see the Universal picture without the globe and the airplane and all that going around it. You know, one of the very few that I know of that doesn't do that.
There's the great Morricone score. Everybody loves him from the spaghetti westerns. We love him what he did with this.
Yeah, I like how he's kind of got top billing because there's a lot of good cast in here, and he was what, 3rd or 4th on the billing list behind Kurt Russell and Universal. And the score in this is really good. I like the type of movie it is. I just like that sound.
It's ominous.
Yeah.
Ominous. Dean Cundy, as you saw, that was Carpenter's go-to guy for a cinematographer.
And David Foster producing. Here you get the, I guess the spaceship, you get to see it kind of coming in, and a lot of these movies back then where you've seen it coming, you know, it kind of shows you the path of how it got here. Of course, everything starts from space.
Reaches Earth's gravity, gets pulled down. You know, I think if they should have dated this, they should have gave you a time frame. You know, 10,000 BC.
Oh yeah.
They should have dated.
I was going to say,
I think actually crashed.
I was going to say, I think they said Antarctica 1982. I thought, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Take a drink if you're playing our drinking game. Every time I clear my throat, leave us a comment and tell us when you're trashed.
Or send them a lozenge.
Yeah, send me some lozenges. Now there's the Antarctica. Now the original one took place at what, the North Pole?
I believe so. Yeah. The 1951 Howard Hawks take on this. excellent film in itself. If you haven't seen it, if you just know this story from John Carpenter's movie, I highly recommend you check that out.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I watched it one time, and I tell you, I got to be honest, I didn't like it. But of course, I'm comparing it to this.
Well, you also don't like puppies and sunny days either. So.
Well, I like these puppies in here when they, when they're getting shot, and I like those. And I guess these are the Norwegians.
Norwegians.
Now, these guys can fly a helicopter pretty good, but I tell you, they can't shoot for shit.
Yeah.
These guys couldn't hit the wide side of a barn.
Well, if they would have, I'd made a short movie.
Yeah, right. And I know I'm kind of putting the cart before the horse here, but they're a little bit of a kill time here. This dog here. Now, is this the one that they painted up? There was one dog in here that they painted to look like a husky.
Yeah.
Or I guess painted it up to look like the other one that they used. This isn't the same one they used later on.
Yeah.
So this must be the painted up one. I read something online where they translated what these guys were saying. And these guys were saying all the right things. They were saying, it's not a dog, it's an imitation. Kill it, get out of the way, don't let it touch you, all that stuff. They're pretty much saying what it took them a while to figure out. So they kind of had that right. They can't shoot worth a shit. And the one guy, I think here in a minute, fumbles up the grenade, blows up their helicopter. I mean, these guys are total dipshits. But they got that part right, though. That's a good shot right there. Tell me you couldn't shoot that.
Yeah, now we've seen this movie multiple times, so this is like no surprise to us. But when you see this movie for the first time, it's a great intro because it's like, why are they trying to kill a dog?
Mm-hmm.
Why is this husky so important that they're trying to shoot and they're falling?
There's Wilford Brimley playing ping pong for people that might not know.
I think that was pre-diabetic Wilford Brimley, too.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think his doctor said he had pre-diabetes, and so he had to stay active. So
Look at these old computers.
State-of-the-art for its time.
With John Carpenter's wife at the time, she's
It's product placement.
yeah, she's the one doing the voice of the computer. There it is again, another clearing of the throat. And I read somewhere that Kurt Russell's actually a pretty good chess player. Like he's at a competitive level. He could really play some chess.
He definitely is a sore loser.
Yeah, well, he's a sore loser. And he couldn't beat the computer on that one. So
I'm going with the chess wizard.
yeah, oh, no doubt about it.
Yeah. At that time, how much was that computer? And he just, poured his old drink in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look how low they're flying, and they can't hit that dog.
Product placement, Chevron.
Oh yeah, Chevron gets a lot of recognition in this one. And this little station here that they've got set up, I think, took place in somewhere in Canada. Was it Quebec?
I thought it was like Atlanta because it was cheaper to film it there.
Atlanta, Georgia.
It's free Atlanta.
The thing that I seen in one of these documentaries, I believe, it might even be on the DVD we're watching, they talked about how they built the set in kind of the summertime, and then they came back in the wintertime because they knew it would be snowed over and they would have this effect.
It lends to the hint of isolation.
Mm-hmm. And these guys are now they're thinking, hey, what's this helicopter doing here? I don't know if they see the dog yet. But the original movie was kind of based on, what was the novel called?
Who Goes There?
Who Goes There? And you kind of get that feel this whole time. It's always about who goes there, who done it. Nobody really knows what's going on. They don't know who's who. John Carpenter did a great job on this one. Excellent job. Why this movie didn't do too well at the box office, I guess, is probably because E.T. came out like a month or so before this, and everybody fell in love with E.T.
Well, it did have a much more rosier outlook.
Yeah. Well, E.T. drank beer and he ate M&Ms and, his
ate
finger
Reese's
glowed.
Pieces. He didn't eat M&Ms.
What did I say? Oh, I said M&Ms. Yeah, Reese's Pieces.
Reese's Pieces. We can
Yeah,
edit that out.
what was I thinking? M&Ms, I think, was... think they couldn't reach an agreement with him. Yeah, see this dumbass here? And you know what? There was something about this, too, now that I think about it. The guy running here, I guess he's the last guy standing now. He was married to Kurt Russell's sister, maybe, at the time. And that's how he got the role in the movie, I believe.
He can also speak Norwegian.
And so I guess, what's our guy's name there that just got shot? That's Bennings.
Yeah, Bennings.
There's a little tribute to the spaghetti westerns, bullets ricocheting off the snow. I think Gary here, who I guess is...
nailed him on the first shot.
Yeah, Gary nailed him between the eyes, and I like how the liquor here saves the day on everything. The guy's like, yeah, give me that.
It's the first thing I reach for when I hurt myself. Slug of J&B Scotch.
Yeah, probably not. That and the chess master and the ping pong table is not too much to live for out there.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't understand how this movie flew under the radar. I mean, there's E.T., Star Wars, Star Trek, came out that time.
Yeah, I mean, 82 was a big, big year for movies, good quality movies. But when you just talk sci-fi or you just talk movies, I mean, people talk about The Thing all the time. They're still talking about it. Don't hear anybody talk about E.T.
Yeah.
But boy, it was E.T. mania at the time. And there's Clark. Clark's the dog handler. I guess we should go through the characters there. We got Gary, who's the guy that shot the Norwegian between the eyes, and I guess he's considered in charge. I don't know what his official title is, but they call him in charge. And there's is that Dr. Copper? I think it is. That's Dr. Copper sewing up Bennings. Yeah, initially they think the guys are stir crazy, and that's what they... Here comes Mr. Diabetes himself.
Is that Knowles? Is that his name?
No, I think Knowles is the cook.
Okay. Yeah.
Who is that guy? He's the radio operator. He's the one that I always get confused with the helicopter pilot that's always smoking dope. Because they both got that kind of little bit of an afro. Yeah, here's Knowles right here. He says, maybe we're at war with Norway.
Yeah, that's Windows.
It's Windows.
The hippie.
Windows, yeah, Windows the hippie. Well, I lied. He didn't shoot him between the eyes. He shot him right in the eye. And now that I'm looking at it, there's our dopey pilot. So I guess Kurt Russell's character and the hippie guy here smoking the pot, and that's all he does the whole time. Them two are helicopter pilots. Knowles here is the cook. Gary's the guy in charge.
Dr. Copper, obviously the doctor.
Yeah, you got Dr. Copper, and I think you got another doctor here on the left and the right. The one guy's Fuchs. I can't remember the guy on the left.
That's Norris.
Norris. And you got Childs. I'm not really sure what Childs does, and I know he operates the flamethrower. And I guess I'm taking it Bennings is a weather guy of some sort, because they ask him later on, how the weather is, and he tells them. I guess that's what he's doing right now. The dopey guy says, yeah, I'll take the copter up. And they're like, no thanks. We'll get McCready. McCready's like, really? You want to go up in this? And I think up to this point, I think Kurt Russell had played in a lot of Disney movies and stuff like that. And I think originally they weren't sure that Kurt Russell would be able to play this kind of role. I guess he proved them wrong.
Well, I think it's all about acting.
Yeah. Well, I think he was untested in kind of the rough and ready. You know, he'd go on to play Escape from New York, Snake Plissken, and, you know, he's perfect. But I don't know if they actually knew that at the time. If they... And there's your danger. Don't stick your head in the rotor and get it cut off. Sticker.
When was Pliskin? How many years after this?
I think it may have been before this.
Really?
You think so?
I think so.
Carpenter liked him so much he used him.
I think Escape was 81 and this was 82.
Well, if that's the case, then...
I know that hat he's wearing is good any year.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good-looking cap right there, I'm going to tell you.
2018, man, if I had that sombrero.
Yeah, you know what? Escape from New York was 1981. And then he played in something called The Fox and the Hound. He was the voice of Cooper.
Yeah.
And then he played in this. So his last movie was before this was Escape from New York. So
If I can correct you, Mike, it's pronounced Copper. He played the hound dog in the Disney.
well, my eyes are bad now that you say that. Yeah, I see 1 O and 2 P, so it is Copper.
Honest mistake.
Yeah. Well, you corrected me twice because I thought New York came after this one.
Here we have the Stevie Wonder setting the stage.
Yeah.
Very superstitious.
And by all means, when Stevie saw this, he loved it.
Yeah. Oh, I guarantee it. It's like, here's royalties. Yeah, so I guess the Escape from New York was the movie that they weren't sure he could play the tough role, and then this would be his second one, so it wasn't this one that they had the doubts on. Okay, now this one here is the real dog. The one that's half wolf and half husky, I think.
Looks like he's up to something to me.
Yeah,
He's not just checking the camp out. He's
Like this, he goes in the room, the shadows on the wall,
yeah.
and this guy's done. You never know.
Yeah, and this guy right here, I've seen a lot of blogs and stuff where people are like, who was that? What character? Because it might be, relevant later on. And from what I can understand is that was nobody. It was just a cast member or something that Carpenter stuck there because it fits that who is it, who done it, who goes there. It kind of fits that thing. You can think about it and you don't really know. You don't know who it is. And come to find out it was nobody. It was just... Now they're flying up on the Norwegian camp that is considerably smaller.
well, it looks like it's been bombed.
Yeah.
So, there's something's went on here. Just adds to their mystery.
Yeah, because at this point, they still don't have a clue, what's going on. They were going here hoping to find something out, and so far it's not very good.
Not to take away from the review of this film, but I thought that the remake or the prequel was really good. It was really good. Like, it shows everything that happened here.
I concur.
Mm.
All these scenes you're about to see, they went through and they showed every way it's set up and happened.
Hey, Sweden! I love that.
So they're not Swedish, Mac.
Yeah, it takes him several times before he finally gives in and calls them Norwegian. I think he says, "You really want to save them crazy Swedes, don't you?" And I'm like, they're Norwegians. Little do they know, there's nobody to save. They're all gone. Gary shot the last one, and Kurt Russell's brother-in-law blew the copter up with the other guy in it. So.
There's the axe.
Needs to go in there. Here's McCready. Yeah, they start to kind of slowly, can't figure it out, but they're slowly seeing what's going on with, I think there's a guy over here that's cut his throat and cut his wrists, and the stuff is frozen. That's a nice touch. Funny thing is, that looks kind of fresh, actually. But that don't. You know what? I think it's British Columbia is where this was done. I'd said Quebec or something earlier. It's British Columbia. If you've ever seen the documentary on it, they all used to ride up in a school bus. Everybody, when they were going to film, and I think at one point they said they about got killed because the bus started sliding and got stuck, and they thought they were going to go off the side of the mountain at one point. But think about that in today's terms. Could you see, like, say, Ocean's 11 with all the stars in it? Could you see Clooney and Matt Damon and all them guys out pushing a bus in 10 below zero weather, trying to save their lives?
I kind of saw them too. They don't like to get their hands dirty. They wouldn't know what to do with dirt under the fingernails.
Right. Now, of course, today they would have done a lot of this in a studio. They wouldn't have had to do it. And I think that's another reason why I like this is, a lot of this stuff, it's cold as hell there. Where they're at, and
it has a very authentic feel. You can see their breath. You feel like the movie's cold. You feel cold yourself watching the movie.
And as the movie progresses, you also start to feel isolated. At least I always did when I watched this when I was younger.
Yeah.
Well, I was usually watching it by myself too, so that kind of helped.
I think this movie was also written off as kind of a horror gore film. And they don't realize how suspenseful and just well written it was.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right about that. I read some stuff where people's opinions were the same thing. It was too gory. Comparing it, of course, to the E.T. that was real family friendly and everything. And then you watch this and it's like, oh my God. So now they're finding either a giant hot tub or a block of ice that had something in it.
Something being the key word.
Yeah, something. Still don't know, and
yeah, and as they're piecing together everything that happened, who knows what's going on back at the other outpost? The thing could already have 2 or 3 people by now.
And I like how this thing right here, this whole building and everything is totally trashed. There's nothing orderly. I don't think there was one chair sitting straight up except for the one the guy was sitting in. Uh-oh. So now you add all this stuff up. Burnt bodies, kerosene.
Yeah, and the guy in the chair, he slit his wrist and his throat. So, he opted out. He didn't want to become whatever that was.
Yeah. How bad is life when you slit your wrist and your throat?
Yeah, he wanted to make sure he got the job done.
Kind of like in Return, you're going to be one of them things. Yeah, that's kind of probably what he was thinking. Don't want to do that. And so they got some shovels, and I guess they loaded this thing up. They're going to take it back to the center here and let Mr. Diabetes take over.
I guess that's his job. He's the researcher. Like the other guy's just a doctor.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think when the one guy, and I'm assuming that Copper might be like the head of the doctors, because he tells Blair, which is Wilford Brimley's character, he's like, Blair, I want an autopsy, immediately. So I take it that he might be like the lead doctor, and Brimley's character, Blair, is more of a internal thing, I guess.
And enough accolades can't be said about Rob Bottin's work on this film.
Oh, absolutely.
The fact that this is all CGI done in films these days, the work and the skill that went into making these effects and creatures is just second to none in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Bottin worked 7 days a week, 20 hours a day, got hardly any sleep. I think at one point he was hospitalized, I believe, for a little while. Then I think that's when they brought in Stan Winston to take over for a little bit, because I think some of the dog stuff we see later with them dogs, I think Stan Winston had a hand in that, because that's when Bottin was down for the count. But yeah, he did a great job in that, and this might be one of his first big chances to do all this stuff, I believe. McCready's kind of looking everybody over. Now the dog's looking everybody over.
Yeah, that's another thing I was going to say. Is when they arrived and they came back, the dog's kind of watching them through the window.
Yeah.
Like you get the sense that
he knows more.
Yeah.
Photo play. Yeah, and of course they still don't know nothing. And if we was watching it for the first time, we wouldn't know anything either, other than maybe to think that sometimes dogs and cats and stuff have an instinct when something's not right, and that'd be the only thing that we would have to go on. And see, now this here might have been a little over the top for that time. Certainly not for me, but if I watched E.T. a month before this, and then I'm watching this.
Definitely different audiences.
Yeah. I thought Fuchs had a little cigar in his mouth, but apparently that was a thin flashlight or something. I guess Blair determines everything kind of seems to be normal internally, but it sure don't look it on the outside. Watching a little Monty Hall here.
Good reception up there, man.
You got your top loader.
VCR.
Yeah.
Yeah, VHS.
Panasonic.
As soon as Childs hears the lighter, as they're gonna smoke some dope here, and then now all of a sudden Childs has got something to say. Hey, pass that over here.
Yeah, and even without the alien, there's just, these guys are out in the middle of nowhere, literally.
Yeah.
And after so long, you gotta get sick of each other.
Yeah.
So it's already, everybody's probably on edge anyway.
And you've got a lot of characters here that are, like Clark is a lot different than McCready. You got all these different characters that are, if you put them all together, you can't see how they'd have a whole lot in common. And do we really know what they're there researching?
No,
You know,
I
why are
wouldn't.
they there? Why were the Norwegians there? I don't know if we ever.
You find out in the prequel that the Norwegians were there to find the spaceship. But while they're there, I have no idea.
I'll have to watch that one again because I gotta admit, you two guys liked it, and I guess I'm the lone didn't like it. But of course, I think I compare everything to this one and say I like this the best, and nothing else really has a chance. I probably should look at it again.
To me, that scene is so chilling. You know, the dog goes and sits in the center of the room.
Yeah,
And,
reluctantly.
yeah, the other animals know something's wrong instantly.
Yeah, and not only that, but you see how much bigger that dog was than the rest
Yeah.
of them, because that's probably the wolf part in him. Okay, now he's going to do some shaking and baking here, and
And they're thinking, man, we didn't sign up for this.
You
We
got
gotta
that
get the hell
right.
out of this cage.
I'm kind of wondering what they did sign up for, what they got them dogs there for, because they got that snowcat and helicopters and
Well, snowcats and helicopters are engines, man. They can easily give out.
yeah,
Dogs will keep going.
yeah. Well, I guess that's true. There's a money shot.
Yeah.
I always kind of wondered what is that?
It's just a viscous fluid.
Yeah, yeah. Now, is it just me, or did you all find it kind of odd that, like, all of a sudden it gets quiet when Clark gets back here, because he literally opens the door, there's nothing, then all of a sudden, you know, somebody threw a dog on him or something, and it starts whining. And then right
Yeah.
before this, they were barking and yelping and screaming, and I think Carpenter threw the dog at him.
Yeah, they were going for the jump scare there.
Tell you what, though, if you actually seen that for the first time, that would be that'd be something. I guess McCready's going for a beer, most likely. Yep, Budweiser. I was guessing it wasn't a ski or a mountain mist or anything like that.
Or A&W.
Yeah, speaking of seeing that for the first time, I saw this maybe when I was 9, and that part was frightening to me. I remember several nightmares
Yeah.
over the dog part.
Oh, yeah.
Because in movies, you know, you just really didn't see animals get hurt or killed at the time.
Yeah.
And this looks very painful.
And I guess just because you don't see it, I'm always a big fan of animals getting hurt, kids getting killed. Because it's something you don't see very often, so.
That was Mike Roby with the comment.
Yeah.
Just to distinguish between the likes.
Yeah, I hope I don't have PETA after me right now. Boy, I bet PETA had a fit when they seen all this.
But I know what you're saying. As a horror movie, when a kid or an animal dies, you know that
That's
whoever
usually-
the villain is, he's not
Yeah,
playing
this
around.
is serious stuff, yeah.
That's usually the safe zone.
It's like in a lot of these podcasts, we kind of like to joke around, make jokes when you can, but this movie here, there's not a whole lot of joking. This is serious stuff here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Clark don't approve of killing these whatever this is.
Yeah.
You know, it's still somewhat a dog, and he don't set well with him.
That's good though. It gives him that humanity. Like those are still his babies.
Yeah. And you know, later on they kind of think Clark's the guy.
Yeah.
You know, they think he's one of the guys, and if you kind of think back, which I never did, you know, Clark's kind of on the side of the animals, like you said, some humanity. So, you know, right now you kind of have to say he's not one of the guys.
Child is hesitant, but I think this helps convince him.
I love this fly. I love this. Yeah. I love that when he sees a flowering of dog tongues coming at him, he better.
And think about like the model for this creature. Like, how do you dream this up in your head? Like nothing like that at the time.
Yeah. Well, that's Rob Bottin. I think Carpenter. Everybody who works with Carpenter always says he's great to work with because he says, "Hey, you're the guy that creates aliens and monsters. Have at it. We'll go." I think they sent him to a guy at Universal Studios. He said, "You tell him what you got in mind, and he'll draw it up. And see you in a couple of weeks. Come back, show me what you got." And And something else when it come to all that stuff that we just seen, like them fists or claws or whatever coming out of there. Any guy would like to hear this. They said that they had 55-gallon buckets of KY jelly. That's what they used. I think it was Rob Bottin that was quoted as saying he didn't know they had KY jelly in 55-gallon buckets, but they do.
It's industrial strength.
Yeah. It's like you get two 55-gallon buckets of that when you're a teenager and you got a lifetime supply.
Yeah.
If the shelf life on it's any count.
Or one weekend at Elton John's place.
Oh, no. Yeah, so now I guess they've taken some of this stuff from the dogs, and I guess they're pulling this apart. Blair again, looking at it and trying to figure it out. I love how he's got his pencil over there kind of poking at it, and
With these scientists,
then he sticks it in his mouth.
You see a scientist's mind
Yeah.
as this actor's portraying, because this is what a scientist would say, man.
Yeah.
They wouldn't look at it as it's going to take our place. They would look at the simplicity of it, how it does what it does. He's laying it all out.
Yeah, because this is a real thing for him. It's if you were a scientist, on the job here, this would be your moment, I guess. For me, I think I'd be, Fuchs, go over here and look at this, Get by, I'm going to go back here on the computer and, yeah, I guess some of the dogs made it, I guess. Was they're giving them shots or taking blood or something.
Yeah, two of them ran out. One jumped on him, and the other one followed.
Now, also keep in mind, remember the one that that busted the roof and climbed out?
Yeah.
So that's gone.
I think that was the original.
Yeah, it might have been. Because I'm a scientist, I'm studying this thing, and I think you might be one of them.
Well,
That's why I'm looking at you.
Let's just say that the mistrust definitely has started to grow in this camp.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the one that climbed out through the ceiling, and then there's the one with the shadow that's already infected whoever that was.
Uh-huh.
That was the same one, I think. That was the one that the Norwegians were trying to kill. So he was running loose still. The rest of them were pinned up. He put that one up finally at their assistance, and that's when he transformed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess this is 9 hours. They just said how much more of this, and there's 9 hours.
This
Seeming
kind of pays homage to the first one, because when they find it, they make that circle
That's right.
to show you how large it is.
Yeah, so he's kind of, Bennings, I guess, is a weather guy, and I guess, or a navigator of some sort. And is that guy in the blue, is that what he was? I thought he was one of the doctors or something like Fuchs, but he was, reading the map and everything. So maybe he's on that end of it. I always thought he was a doctor. Maybe he's not. And probably one of the very few women that was actually involved in this was a lady named Susan Turner. She's the one that created that spaceship model we seen in the beginning. And I think she made a lot of these props and stuff when they needed to shoot it and make it look big. She made miniature versions of it, and which I think in the first one, didn't the first original thing, wasn't there women in that? You had the love interest, the natural, and they did that in the prequel too, didn't they?
Oh yes.
Yeah, there was 2 women in the prequel.
Yeah.
Actually, the woman's the hero of the.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's acting.
Now, when did this UFO supposedly crash? Was it like dinosaur prehistoric times?
Yeah, I think.
Thousands of years.
Yeah, I guess it's these two here. I think McCready asked that question: "How long do you think this is down here?" And the other guy, and I've kind of lost track. I don't even know who the other guy is at this point. But he takes a quick look around and says, "Oh, this could be tens of thousands of years based on my knowledge of the ice." But I like how you see this. You see this hatch here. It's wide open, so it's like it tells you whatever was in it, it got out. $100,000. At least. Yeah, I think that's the first time that McCready actually acknowledges them as Norwegians. And then now I guess they've kind of stumbled upon the part that they found earlier in the old Norwegian camp.
See, if you think about it, they've answered a lot of questions pretty quick.
Yeah.
In less than a day, maybe they figured out
Yeah.
the who, what, where, and now they got to figure out why.
And now McCready, half drunk, he's an expert. He knows what's going on. Chariots of the gods, man. He's got him a one-hitter there, or whatever they call them things.
Yeah.
Got them asteroids there.
You know who Knowles kind of reminds me a little bit of? Remember Tootie on Facts of Life? She'd always go around on them roller skates.
Yeah.
I like that, McCready. Yeah, what do you want from me? Well, you were the one telling the story. You kind of get the idea Blair knows.
Yeah.
He's put it pretty much all of it together. Here's your asteroids game, except it's a computer thing helping Blair figure it out. I guess this is so, if you're watching it and you hadn't figured it out already, now, this is kind of showing you.
So Blair knows at this point somebody's infected.
Yeah. And there's his pen that he was poking around at his pencil poking around at the dog earlier.
27,000 hours.
What's the math on that?
I'm not sure. I'd
Is
say
that
it's
2 months, 3 months.
I think after reading that, I'd started off with a pint of Smirnoff and a gun. That's probably not a bad.
You're not a drinker.
Yeah, and I'm not even a drinker, but I'd start. And then when he came in and said, which one of you all put your dirty drawers in my garbage? McCready's looking at it because I was making a joke about him looking like Tootie. Was this the piece that had McCready's name on it? Or is this a piece that somehow McCready ended up with?
That was his shirt.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's another thing is McCready himself has to wonder, am I a thing?
Yeah, because I never really pieced that together that there's 2 times in this movie where McCready's clothing has come up and kind of unknowns to him. He don't seem like he knows anything about it.
Yeah, this movie, there's the paranoia thinking like, who else could be a thing? But at the same time, could I be?
Mm-hmm.
Also.
And when Blair kind of goes ape shit here in a little bit, he's screaming a bunch of stuff, but we don't know how much of it he's telling. Like I don't know if the other guys know 75%'s the numbers on who could have it. 27,000 hours from first contact of civilization, and all that. I don't know if he tells them that kind of stuff. I think he just kind of tells them that, it wants to be us and all that, it's jibber jabbering. But so these guys really don't know yet. Blair's probably the only one that knows. McCready kind of seems like he knows a little bit.
And I did the math. It's just over 3 years.
3 years, yeah. I was thinking 2,700. I had to look at it twice. It's 27,000 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, when you think of 3 years, that's not much because that's 75% turns into higher numbers,
That explains a lot. That'd be 1985.
Mm-hmm.
How lucky are these people that it crashed in Antarctica, though?
Yeah.
Not in the middle of,
Yeah, well, usually any of this stuff, like even the Roswell, we won't really get into that too much, but, even the supposedly Roswell and the aliens and all that, it wouldn't crash in New York City.
Yeah.
In Times Square, it's gonna crash somewhere where there's nothing. And
there's a lot of aliens that crashed in California and Texas, I understand.
Yeah. And I'll give you another little note too. The Roswell crash with the aliens is the same year, and I think this guy would have been 3 months old when the crash happened. John Denver, who was born in Roswell.
Are you referring to John Henry Duchendorf?
Yeah, exactly.
Whose father was the great Air Force colonel.
Uh-huh. Yeah, now who was that? Bennings?
Yeah, that was Bennings.
It's kind of funny because when they catch him outside here in a little bit, he looks a lot cleaned up.
Yeah.
He don't look nothing like that. The only thing that really looks, he got all the KY jelly mixed in with the red dye and everything. He's got all that cleaned off of him. I think he's got his vest back on even.
What's another cool thing about this movie is it looks painful when the thing takes you over. It looks like it's painful. That's something I liked about American Werewolf in Paris or London.
Yeah.
Is when he becomes a werewolf, it looks like it hurts.
Yeah.
And
I remember when he first turned, you could hear, like, when his fingers are getting bigger, you could hear like the crackling of the bones and the stretching of the skin, and you're just like, oh,
Yeah.
jeez. Yeah, see, Bennings is pretty cleaned up there. He don't look like the same guy that was in there covered in slime. And now he might have put a jacket on before he went outside too.
This is the moment where the whole camp knows, like, this is it.
Yeah. Wonder we're about working tomorrow.
Yeah. And at this point in the movie, even though Gary's the leader, you kind of get the feeling he's not.
Yeah, I was just kind of thinking that for the first time ever. I was thinking that same thing. Gary don't seem to have the courage and the strength. You know, he's not leadership material.
I kind of thought it as soon as I saw the credits and it said Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
in front.
Yeah, really.
I thought, you know what? I bet he's going to be the leader.
Yeah. And I like later on when they're like debating who's going to be in charge, you know, quote unquote in charge. You know, McCready's like, no, not you, Childs. I need somebody a little more even-tempered,
Yeah.
like me. Because I don't think he's very even-tempered either, but... At this point, I guess at that point, it's like a hot potato. Nobody really wants it.
At this point, too, sleep's out the window. You know, you're not sleeping.
Right.
You know, knowing that you could become one of those things.
Yeah.
Or your buddy next to you could be one.
Yeah. And, of course, you don't want any sleep either. You know, you don't need sleep. You can just stay up all night long. And And you would think that these guys, too, most of them, especially the doctors and the weatherman and people like that they don't really have physically demanding jobs.
Yeah.
So you would think just the stuff that they're doing here would just really wear them out. You'd just kind of collapse and fall asleep. You know, you couldn't help it. And we know later on when Blair gets locked up in the storeroom that God knows how cold that is, that he didn't do any sleeping. So McCready, I guess, just sees Blair running from the... I don't know if that was the copter.
That
or
was the whirly bird. He went and disabled it.
Yeah.
He knows he don't want him leaving. I don't think he's turned yet.
Right. I don't think he has yet either. I don't think. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. I don't guess he turns until he's out there in the storeroom. But
He hadn't turned yet because he don't want him to leave because he knows they can't leave.
yeah,
They leave their 3 years.
yeah,
of the world being in it.
75% and 27,000.
So he hadn't turned yet.
Because I think it's kind of what he starts saying when he's rambling on earlier. And
Well, he also realizes he can't trust anybody.
right,
That's why he did what he did.
and you hear
Now he's wanting
the
to
first
tear the radio up.
yeah. Now you hear the first gunshot since they shot the Norwegian, and knowing kind of what you know, what would you be thinking here? Would you be thinking somebody might have offed themselves, or maybe took a shot at somebody else, or
Kind of what's going on. I don't think somebody doesn't trust somebody else. Probably an argument.
Clark has his knife there.
Yeah, I don't think Blair's turned either. He's still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
He disabled the helicopter. I kind of think he turned when he's in the shed.
Yeah, I think I'm with Michael on that one. I think that he knows what's going on because that's kind of what he's saying. Most of you don't know what's going on, but I do. And he's figured that everything has to stay right there because if it gets to civilization, then it's over. So I don't think at this point that he knows.
Yeah.
Or at this point, I don't think that he's turned yet. He knows too much and it's driving him crazy. I'll kill you. Just wait for him to run out of bullets and then go after him.
Yeah. Yeah, he's lost.
I like how Childs just kind of steps up and real calmly goes, "Come on, Blair, you don't want to hurt nobody."
Well, he's trying the good cop technique first.
And that's almost like if you guys have seen The Terror, where Boris Karloff says, you spare me nothing like 4 or 5 times in the movie. You hear that, you don't want to hurt nobody. They say that 2 or 3 times in this movie. I think it's Windows or somebody later on that says, "Come on, Windows, you don't want to hurt nobody."
That shows you what happened to the other dogs, the 2 that survived.
And that's another axe. They must have bought them axes like by the case or something, because them axes are everywhere.
I've got one on me right now, Mike. You never can have enough good axes.
I sprayed some axe on me before you all came over here so I wouldn't stink. That's a different kind of axe, though.
Well, let me ask you a question. Where did you get that from?
Yeah, really. It seems like I had something else that I've noticed in this. It's kind of funny, too. Okay, look at the window back there. Now, before they came in, they nailed that up, right? You can see right through it.
Well, what I like about it is
Take a bottle of the Smirnoff and...
the boards are vertical, but when you look from the outside, they're horizontal.
Yeah. Well, I know they boarded it up before they went in, and there wasn't no boards there.
It's horizontal boards on from the inside, but when they show the outside shot, they're horizontal.
There's no boards on either one of them
Oh, no why.
at this point.
Yeah, I think he's just lost his marbles, so everybody thinks
Yeah.
it's him.
But it's a logical thing for him to say, "Watch Clark,"
Yeah.
at this point.
I think he changes out there because at one point they come in and
You
there's,
see how the boards are horizontal now?
Yeah.
well, there's a noose.
They were vertical when you were in interior. That's just a...
I didn't think there were any boards at all because you could see clearly,
Yeah.
Just a continuity error.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they go in there later, he's got a noose. And it was almost like he was going to take himself out. But then I guess it got a hold of him.
Yeah. And you could possibly at that point get the feeling that the thing part of you is bluffing, to maybe try to get back inside or something. But Kurt Russell's figured it out now. I guess his little conference with Blair there, he's figured it out. 1 or 2 of us could have it, and by spring it could be all of us, and we need to figure out how we can come up with a test. And I think they just mentioned a blood serum test, and I guess this is when they're talking about blood, that later on somebody breaks into it and contaminates the blood. And that's something else. We never know who contaminated the blood.
Yeah.
and my guess is they did it like just minutes ago. Yeah, where's Clark? Right here. Clark kind of answered that as if to say he kind of knows he's the guy on the hook, that everybody's thinking it's him.
Yeah, hanging out with the dogs has screwed Clark for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Not for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
And now they're kind of juggling it around. Well, I keep the keys, I give it to him, then I give them back to you, and now everybody's kind of passing away.
He had him.
Yeah. Well, earlier in the movie, I believe it was, did keys drop? You hear the keys drop and hit the ground. And somebody had to have picked them up then.
See, Gary's screwed now, too.
Yeah.
Because he was the key man.
Yeah. Sometimes being in charge,
Don't
when
forget Clark.
things go down, and you're in charge and you're the guy. Yeah, what about Windows? He just took off running. Big deal. Taking too much time. There it is. They got you. Here it is. Come on. Come on, put the gun down. You don't want to hurt nobody. Oh, it's Gary they said that to. Come on.
Brooks
Gary.
Hatman's a reasonable man, right?
Yeah, really. Yeah, that's what he said. Come on, Brooks. You don't want to hurt nobody. And where's Fuchs and all them? Did they just stay behind and...
Norris didn't look like in charge material.
No. So Clark turns over his knife to McCready. So now McCready's taking charge. He's got the guns, and he just got Clark to turn over his knife.
I don't think he turned it over. He just put it up.
No, he handed it to him. He handed it to him, and McCready put it in his pocket. But you kind of get the feeling with the surrender of the power, the surrender of the guns, even Windows. You kind of get the feeling, well, there's three guys that probably doesn't have it because...
Yeah.
Now, I read something in a blog one time that they said that Dean Cundy, whether this is true or not, they said that Dean Cundy said that when you look at some of these people, especially in the dark, if there's like a little bit of light in their eyes, that was this little suggested thing that's one of the ones that has it. And I don't know, I've never really been able to see that, but they, it was said that Dean Cundy said that.
Wishes he had that knife back now.
Yeah, you got that right.
Shoot them up with morphine, so now half of them are stoned off their ass.
Yeah.
They got to deal with this too.
Windows is stoned anyway.
Yeah.
Most likely. Windows and what's the other guy? No, not Windows. It's the other guy. I keep getting them two mixed up. The pilot.
He kind of disappeared when all this was going down recently.
Yeah.
People don't pay attention to that, but I think he ends up being the...
Yeah, there's too many people to... Ooh. I don't like needles. That kind of kills me to the core just seeing it.
Let me get this straight. You don't mind blowtorching a baby or a puppy, but needles give you the heebie-jeebies?
That's, yeah. As silly as that sounds, yeah.
I, for one, love babies and puppies, and needles don't bother me either.
Well, now babies I like as long as they're somebody else's. But, you know, to see a baby or a small child get killed in one of these horror movies, it gives me a little bit of a thrill.
We'll save that for another podcast.
Yeah, maybe Halloween 3.
He said the name tag was missing on the... That's the thing. Did you see those underwear? I mean, they're brown. I don't know why everybody's playing with them.
Well, I wonder who the laundry guy is around there. Is that it's too deep?
Enough to take another shot of this J&B scotch.
There's the gun. Remember? No, there's the knife. I think is that the knife or the gun?
That's the gun.
I'm seeing that at a different angle, and I can't tell. Hear to say that in the microphone, say, "Remember, my dear boy, I got the gun."
Outpost number 31. If you're scoring at home. And just from my own experience, whenever you're dog beat, tired, nothing serves you better than a shot of scotch.
Yeah.
That just
Absolutely.
puts you over and puts you to sleep.
And whatever he's got back there in that beaker, that might be some scotch or something too.
I think he'd be drinking coffee, trying to stay up.
Yeah. Or a little cup of top ramen or whatever that is back there in the back. And see, now that's an important little part that I think comes into play later on. Is, you know, right now, I guess Fuchs has told Mac, who now is in charge, everybody are to prepare their own meals, keep everything separate, and only eat out of cans. You know, so nothing spreads. Well, it's not Blair, because Blair's in the hut.
Yeah, if anything, I think that putting him out there set Blair up. You know, to where he didn't have any control over it.
Yeah.
He was done for.
Yeah, because remember, that thing crawled out of the roof earlier, and we've kind of forgot about that.
Yeah.
And, you know, that might have got to him.
And at the end of the movie, when Blair transforms, he kind of looks like those dogs and that thing.
Uh-huh. Yeah, kind of in an odd way.
There he is. First time I've seen him on camera in 25 minutes.
Yeah. I want to go with Childs. He's my pot smoking buddy.
Palmer, that's it.
Yeah, F you, Palmer. McCready has to kind of slam his hand down and remind everybody, look, I'm in charge. Oh, look how Doc is out.
You know, and I wouldn't have shot the doc up. That's the one guy you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because who's the one, I guess, when they start cutting there, who's the one that he keeps? Is it, God, I'm wanting to call him Tootie now.
Windows.
No, the cook.
Childs?
Knowles.
Knowles.
Oh,
Is Knowles the one that he keeps at first? You know, he's the one
He
guy
tests
that he
him.
keeps.
He tests him when he sees he's clean. He gives
Yeah.
him
Yeah.
the. He gives him the.
And then as you,
You see the noose there.
Yeah. That was like the last day I worked at one of them group
Yeah.
homes.
Now look
You know,
at
it's
the
like I don't think I want to work here anymore.
yeah. Now look at the wood back there. Now it looks exactly like you said. It looks like everything's kind of going the opposite way of what it actually was.
I think at this point he's changed.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to say. He seemed kind of normal there, but you just don't know. You definitely got to say him being out there put him at risk, put him at a higher risk because we know that one thing, that one climbed out the roof. Now what happened here? Somebody set themselves on fire? Yep. Boy, that'd be a hard way to go.
That just shows you how bad it is to become that thing.
Yeah.
People are slitting their throats and setting themselves on fire.
Yeah.
This is a part of the movie that goes unnoticed. They stay up there a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, he says 40, 45 minutes and notice the light was off.
Yeah, just to go up there and turn the light out.
Yeah, because when the one guy, when Knowles, I guess it is, comes back and he's talking about it, he talks about like it's this big long trip and I had to cut him loose and all this, and it don't look like it's very far at all. Then Norris here starts feeling some pains. I always got the feeling maybe that Norris knew that he had it.
Yeah.
Like right here, it's kind of bothering him. Maybe he knew he had it and he just thought that I'll save everybody the trouble and, I'm not up to it. But like you said, Michael, not very good leadership material there either, I don't think. Too nice and too soft. Now, just for the record, is that the second part of what we seen a few minutes ago? There was a piece that had his name on it, or because that seemed like that was a small piece, and then this piece that they just pulled off seemed like a big piece. So is that two pieces?
Yeah, so he said he found that piece.
Yeah. Yeah, and at this point, anytime anybody questions anything, where were you? Where were you at? Then it's... He freezes to death and I'm taking over. I'm in charge. This guy that plays Childs, I've seen him in a couple of movies. See the ray? See how it's kind of a ray of light in his eyes a little bit. At that point, it was real dark, but yet you could see.
It's hard to argue with a stick of dynamite.
Right.
It's not so much.
Childs is going to be a little slower.
Dynamite's the flare.
Yeah. Childs is a little slower, but as soon as he said set it down, let it go, Palmer and them already had theirs unbuckled and thrown it down on the floor. And yeah, man, just relax. And for the record, that was Norris that grabbed him. So Norris is infected, and he's still got enough in him to try to stop. And it was kind of at this point that I thought McCready at one point might have had it, because he starts, like right here, he's kind of acting strange, and he's not talking the same that he had been. Boy, it's a great part here. And I guess something that none of us have talked about is, and we all know it, I guess, is Dr. Copper's got a nose ring.
Yeah, it's odd for that time.
Yeah. I don't think I really noticed that until maybe I got the DVD or something, or seen it in a little clearer quality. Back in the day, watching it on tape and stuff like that, I never actually seen it, I don't think. They said in a documentary that they had a guy that was missing his arms.
Really?
And they molded some gelatin arms to look like him, and made a mask to look like his face and all that stuff. So when they stuck him down there, it cut them arms off.
That's pretty good right there.
Oh yeah. That's Rob Bottin. Now, one thing they did say is to come up with that, they said that they had a concoction of melted plastics and all this kind of stuff, and they said at one time they thought they were going to blow the place up because it filled up with flammable gas, and they were saying that this scene was a really, really nerve-wracking to do, because somebody had to be underneath. They had to be inside the table or whatever, and they had to sit in there for hours while they did the...
Hours?
Yeah.
We haven't got hours.
Well, I think that's a carpenter was saying, we don't have hours. We got to get this thing wrapped up, and... But there was a lot of trouble with that. But this... Yeah, Windows, get in here.
Palmer's got the great line in this one, I think.
Yeah.
I used this a lot, I will say, when I was in middle school and
Yeah, and I can't say that I disagree with him.
high school.
I'd say there probably wasn't one person in the room.
There he goes.
There probably wasn't one person watching it or one person in that room that wasn't thinking the same exact thing.
One person in the theater.
Yeah.
You know.
It's a shame that prop didn't survive.
And that's the thing, is everybody thought that Gary was it. Everybody thought that Clark was it. And one of the most mild-mannered, cool, that's who ended up being the thing.
And especially right now, you'd say the guys that's fighting it, would say you're trying to protect.
Yeah.
I always kind of like that line too. The two tough guys in the thing finally come to.
If you watch The Walking Dead, Kurt Russell's character McCready's more like Rick, and Child's more like Shane.
Yeah.
He's more like the let's get stuff done.
Yeah, I never really thought about that. Yeah, just in that little thing, not to get off this movie too much, but I always kind of agreed with Shane in them early episodes. I kind of disagreed with Rick's passive approach and was more in line with Shane.
Yeah, most of these movies I actually agree more with the Shane character.
Yeah.
Well, but that's the hot-headed. You got to have time to think things through. I'm coming from a Rick point of view. I've always looked at you can always shoot somebody, but let me figure it out first. Then I'll shoot him if it needs to be shot, or whatever the case may be. Fight him, punch him, hug him, love him, whatever the case may be. Congratulate him.
Well, like the big thing.
But once you do that, once you do the shooting, the punching, then you can't go back.
Right. Well, it's kind of like the one part that they really had the disagreement on in that movie, in them shows, was, when they found a barn full of walkers and Shane wanted to waste them all and get rid of them because everybody already knew what they were about. And Rick was like, oh no, the guy that owns the barn wants to keep them, and,
Yeah, just don't be too hasty. I guess that's the moral in this story, children, if you're listening.
I can lean to that, but I also lean to the side of you can't please everybody. Sometimes you got to do the bad.
Well, if you listen to Shane, oh goodness.
Sometimes you got to be the bad guy. It's for the better good.
Yeah.
Because if you watch that show as it goes on, Rick kind of becomes Shane.
Yeah. And Shane was right.
The only one who was really right was Harry Cooper.
Because if you listen to Rick, it's kind of like, let's leave these things in the barn. And Shane's thing is, hey, this is a rickety looking barn. They get out of the barn and we're dead. Yeah. All of us. Boy, how about that? I think I'd take I tell you what, you all don't know my fears of needles and stuff like that. I'm not so sure wouldn't just take a bullet in the head. Just tell McCready, look, I'm not bucking your authority, so don't turn into a tough guy, but just go ahead and kill me, because I don't think I want to do that. I don't want to cut a slice out of my finger. It probably needs 5 or 6 stitches, and we're not going to be able to stitch it up. Just go ahead and kill me.
McCready would do that. He'd be happy to oblige.
Well, I'd be all right with it, I think. Now, how about this? Do we have 5 or 6 different scalpels there for everybody to cut their finger, or am I going to cut my finger and then pass it to you, and then I'm the guy with it, and then you're going to cut your finger with it that's infected with my blood? Because we just seen the scalpel sitting there covered in blood. See, there's little rays of light in his eyes.
Craig didn't even entertain that.
Yeah, I was gonna say he didn't entertain it a minute ago. It's almost like he don't want to mess with.
That's why you didn't see him for 25 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. You know, and that might be another reason why Palmer and Window's character kind of looks a little bit alike. I never really thought about that either, but maybe if you see Windows, you kind of think it's Palmer, and you kind of forget that he's gone for quite a bit of time.
Now you think those guys feel strapped on the chair?
Yeah, now the flamethrower won't work. That's a good-looking pinball machine, I know that. Like that didn't really look like Knowles was trying to get loose. He was just kind of moving around a little bit. The other guys were about to turn that couch over that they're sitting on. Or good shot.
Yeah. Bullseye.
Yeah, bullseye. Hurry up, burn it for God's sake. So you lose one, and now you lose one that wasn't. His look don't change much through the whole movie.
Knowles just wants to cook, man. He don't want any of this other nonsense.
Kind of like you said about the dogs. I didn't sign up for all that. I was just supposed to come in here and cook.
Knowles just wants to cook.
Let's do it.
You can tell the last two, they're kind of scared that they might be.
Yeah.
You know.
Cut me loose. Get me out of here. Cut me loose.
This is a pretty good line, too.
Yeah. Now he's kind of showing leadership qualities there.
They pushed him over the edge.
Yeah. There's a Budweiser popping there for.
Podcast brought to you by Budweiser.
Yeah, holy cow, Budweiser.
The king of beers.
Uh-oh, Blair's door's open now.
Yeah.
Yeah, no shit. I seen that 50 feet ago. Not like, yeah, just without saying nothing, it's just like, yeah, let's crawl down into this hole and.
Well, you gotta do what you gotta do, man.
I think at this point nobody's expecting to live.
I'd understand it if he was like, oh yeah, and you got propane and stuff over here, or whatever that is. Probably some kind of flammable gas. Yeah, get them flares as close to that tank as you possibly can.
Well, he's got the dynamite in the one hand.
Yeah.
Still.
Blair's got him, I guess, a replica of the. Yeah, I like that. Smart SOB. Yeah, I guess the wind's picked up a little bit. I think they mentioned that earlier. You know, there was a storm coming in, and I guess here it is. Wind's blowing harder. It's colder. It's
I
darker.
got news for you. When you're in a picture like this, there's always a storm blowing in.
Right. Yeah, most of this stuff don't happen like 70 and sunny and.
Nothing to do for a few days on vacation.
Yeah. I guess in this case, if you can't have it raining, then snow will be the next best thing. Yeah, see, McCready kind of knows it all now, and everybody else is still, what do we do? And but I guess when you think about the intelligence level, I guess a pilot would probably, in general, be a little bit smarter than a cook and a guy in charge and tough talking guy with a gun. And
well, you gotta have a cool head to be a pilot in the first place. So.
Mm-hmm.
His one downfall is his chess game.
Yeah.
He didn't seem too cool when we first met him.
No.
Here's my question with that bulldozer rolling in. How does all this stuff get to Antarctica? Like, is it brought piece by piece, or trucks, or?
Yeah, I never thought about that.
How do they build the outpost?
Huh.
I guess dozers, big dozers, or I don't know.
We truck everything in. If they can't truck in, they fly in.
Yeah.
It's going on right now. There's research posts up in Antarctica as we sit here and watch this.
Mm.
They're probably having a podcast on cool runnings or something.
Yeah.
You know, talking about it. Weekend at Bernie's.
If it come down, so the count now is what? Is it just these three guys left?
4.
4?
Childs is out somewhere.
Right. Because it's kind of assumed that maybe, I don't know, I guess it's just one of them things, Childs is gone and they don't
You got
know.
to sow that seed of doubt.
Yeah.
Childs was watching, he seen Blair, and he took off after him when he was on watch.
And I like his kind of lame excuse, you know, where were you? I thought I seen Blair by the copter. You know, oh, okay. Well, and I guess Blair's still technically alive.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the one that came out of the dog and escaped through the ceiling, I think that's the one that got the Blair.
Yeah. Now, a lot of this stuff, I guess we're not seeing it yet, but like all these barrels and stuff that's around here, that lady named Susan Turner, she had to create all this stuff in a miniature, I think towards the end of it here, or getting close to it. But they set up this little scene and everything, and she had to make everything in miniature, and then they made it look much bigger. Now, assuming that it come down to the three of us, and any three of us was in charge, if one of us suggested, okay, here's what we're going to do, we're just going to die, and we're going to blow this place up, and then we're going to freeze to death, you know, would you all be okay with that? Would you just say, yeah, sure, Michael, that sounds like a good idea, or...
No, I'd say I thought about it and you're no longer in charge.
Right, that's kind of what I'm thinking. I don't know if I would go along with that or not. I mean,
I'm going to go out on my shield.
I might not have another option. I might not have another logical way, but I think I'm like you. I think I'm going to get me a gun, a flamethrower, or whatever, and I'm just going to wait it out.
Preferably in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say I'm a guy that likes to eat, so I'm going to eat everything up, you know, in sight until...
Like, Mike, that food's got to last us for months.
Well, there's Blair. And this is a pretty cool kill here. It just kind of sticks his hand through his face and...
Yeah, but at that time, you really might as well have been on Mars, because to get somebody to come out there and help you and save you then,
Mm-hmm.
man, even now it's probably not really fast.
It's almost maybe not quite as drama, because the problem isn't as big, but almost like the Titanic movies where it's like, help, 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 and then help says, okay, help's on the way, we'll be there in 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
Well, it could take you no telling how long, because they already established early on they can't get a signal, you know, so you're pretty much stuck.
As I mentioned before, we haven't got ours.
Yeah, really. Now, how about that right there? You think they got kerosene in them bottles, or they just take some booze and stick that in there? Personally, I think it's a waste of booze.
Yeah.
It's a waste of good booze. And I'm assuming they had one hell of a stock of it too, because I want to say a bunch of that stuff back there was part of that miniature stuff. All that is.
Yeah.
I guess it's a little late to talk about that now, but to have a helicopter's license, Palmer just kind of seemed like he was a pothead all the way. How did he pass the testing, and how would he continue to pass the testing to keep his operator?
I don't think they DT'd back then.
I don't know. I bet they did. For that, I would say. But it just might be kind of a private industry, too. Once you become an Antarctic part of the research committee or whatever, I guess you're probably exempt, maybe. Yeah. It's up for whoever's in charge, which is Gary, I guess, to maybe uphold a drug-free environment.
Saw Blair bite it with the dynamite,
Yeah.
and that finishes off the rest of the camp, it looks like.
Yep, so they made the big jump here. The camp's on fire. It's going to be dead here. It's going to be burned down to the ground soon. And as of right now, you got Kurt Russell and
That's it.
you
He's
got
on
Childs, but you don't know that. You don't know it yet because Childs just kind of disappeared, and you just kind of assume that.
Yeah, and if you've seen Blair, that monster, that dog came out the side of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of gives you the clue that that's what got him.
Kurt Russell kind of looks like Jesus in one of them old 70s Jesus movies now.
I was going for Jim Morrison.
Yeah, well, yeah. Same guy. You know. And I've read in some blogs too that he was wearing a different color jacket when he went out earlier.
You see, that's the other thing is, if Childs is the thing, he's holding the flamethrower.
Could waste him right now.
Yeah, why not take him out? Unless he wanted to make a friend. No.
Well,
That's possible.
right now you kind of got a last man on earth kind of thing. You know they've established this is it. You know, it's us. It's almost like right now you kind of got a filling out of trying to reestablish what the other two is. You know, are you one? Are you not one? What happened while we were gone? Which would be saying we're not in shape to do anything about it. You know, that would be the stand of the thing. You know, the thing would want to say that. You know, let's just stay here while I take you over.
Yeah, but
Now,
also in that moment.
Now, here's the part that I was thinking about earlier. He hands him this bottle. He takes a drink of it. Now, watch Kurt Russell's character. Watch McCready. He just kind of looks at it and smiles, and it's kind of like, okay, well, I know who the thing might be now because earlier on the thing was keep everything to yourself, eat out of cans, and by no means are you going to drink out of the bottle. They quit doing that a long time ago.
Yeah, but Fuchs only said it to him, I think. I don't think he said it to the whole group.
Yeah, but Kurt Russell knew that.
Well,
Well, he had to have told everybody else that. You know, he'd had to say, "Look, here's the deal." I think maybe he did say that at one point.
If it had been the opposite, you might have had something. If he would have if Childs would have handed it to Russell and Russell drunk it, then you could say, "Aha, he shouldn't have drunk that."
as we talked earlier, the difference in those two characters was Childs didn't have a cool head. At the end of the movie, when he comes in, all of a sudden he's got a cool head. He has the flamethrower. He's not confrontational, and all the things during the movie.
And if
are
you're going to die anyway, you know, McCready took your chance to be in charge. He's kind of been bucking you ever since because you two kind of been butting heads, and he's held the upper hand on him. Now's your time.
But yeah, you could look at it, but I would look at it. You also have a bonding in war. Them guys went through a war.
Yeah.
You know, so why would I want to kill the
And
last?
you're the only ones that
Why would I want
left.
to kill the last human when I
Mhm.
got an alien that's going to perhaps take us all over?
Yeah, and you're in your final moments.
You're in your
You don't
final
wanna be
moments.
alone.
Yeah, what a great cast. Great ensemble.
And there was something that I read that had said, I believe they talked about, if either one of you all know anything about this, that they kind of talked about what the ending should have been. And do any of you all know anything about that? Because I read something where
I've heard several over the years.
Several different stories of it.
Stories about what happened.
The one that I read said that I think that basically they wait it out and the crew comes and gets them. They survive. 100 below zero, but somehow they survive. Or maybe only McCready survives. And they take him back. They do a quick test on him. It's like 5 or 10 minutes extra. It should have been in the movie. They find out that McCready didn't have it. And then I've heard in some where they found out McCready did have it. So, never really heard much about the child's end of it, though, whether they determined he had it or he disappeared or what. I guess because there was no official extra 10 minutes to it, I guess it's probably more speculation than anything.
Well, like any film, this could have been set up for a sequel.
Yeah.
The fact that it did, I don't want to say it was poorly at the box office, but it wasn't what they were expecting. I mean, it made a little money.
It did pretty bad.
Well, it made a little money at the box office. It wasn't just a complete bomb. It actually made a little money, but again, it wasn't the E.T. type money they wanted to see. They were hoping maybe.
In all truth, I'm actually glad that it did bomb, because I think a sequel would have been horrible.
Well, it depends on how.
Yeah.
I think it would have been horrible.
Yeah, because for starters, I guess in a sequel, you could bring Childs and McCready back, but then all these other characters that we've loved over the years, you'd have to reestablish characters, and who knows the time between the two movies. There might be better technology, and sometimes better technology isn't.
Well, I think if done right, with the right script, it would have been a good film.
Maybe years and years later.
I
think, with them not making much money, they would say, what did we do wrong? So they would have went the route of what's going to, not a good story, but glitz and glamour.
I think that's kind of my problem. The first and only time I've seen the prequel to this is you got more technology, you got better this and better that. Like even in the beginning of this, you could see the credits kind of shaking a little bit because everything's kind of in a more manual mode, and that one is supposed to be before this, but yet you've got all these high-tech stuff going on, and I don't know, maybe I just didn't. I think I always just kind of compare everything to this one, the prequel and then the original, and I'm just kind of like, it's, nothing's as good as this. But what do you all think about this one as far as, like, I always like to know, who your favorite characters are and stuff like that. Who's you all's favorite characters in this one? If you can pick one, who's your...
Remove McCready? You can't pick McCready?
I don't know. I guess you probably can.
It's McCready for me.
Yeah.
I think that
Well, I've never...
Brimley, he kind of...
I want to say before Michael says his... I want to say I've never heard anybody say Norris or Fuchs. Are you going to change that, or?
I'll probably have to say Norris and Fuchs. I mean, they all played their roles good. Like I said, this was just a great ensemble cast, including Kurt Russell in that cast. Although he was their featured, he was their featured actor at the time. That's who they were pushing, obviously.
Yeah, in a way, McCready has to be your number one. But let's say McCready. Let's say you couldn't pick him. Who would be your favorite then?
I like Childs.
Yeah.
I mean, but again, I like Fuchs, Windows, Palmer. They all had their moments. I like Clark.
Yeah.
I probably relate as much to Clark as I do any of them.
Yeah, because Clark was kind of a standoffish kind of guy, and I don't know, I guess my mind I'm a standoffish guy, but then I'm kind of in Greece do as the Greeks do, or however that goes. In a grouping, I'd probably try to fit into the group and just be part of it, but my personality's probably more like Clark, just kind of keep to myself, and I've got power over the animals, so I'll pal up with them, because then I'm in charge. Without a gun, I'm in charge. So, but I don't know. My favorite character, I'd probably have to go with. Mine would be either Childs or Blair. Taking McCready out of it.
Yeah.
And I think just simply because of that, I like the smart guy and the science and all that. And then I like how Childs just kind of bucks everything every step of the way. Mm-hmm. He's got something smart to say. And
so you good people out there watching this, you be sure to leave some comments. Let us know who you like. Who was your favorite character?
Yeah, absolutely.
Be it Copper or be it Gary.
And feel free to give us your favorite characters. Can be Mike Roby, which I guess I never said my name. Michael could be your favorite character, or Jackson could be your favorite character out of us three. I doubt that will be anybody's favorite, but feel free to let us know that in the comments. And I guess Michael and Jackson, I appreciate you coming. I'm glad that we got to watch this one and do a podcast on it. And I guess until next time, I appreciate you all coming. No problem. Thanks, Michael.
Absolutely.
And please subscribe to our podcast and like it or not like it. I guess not like it's an option on YouTube. And please leave us a comment. Let us know what you think, and let us know if there's a movie that you might like to see a podcast done on. And until then, we'll see you next time.